I don't know about you, but I have a really hard time picking which books I'm gonna read next that are on my TBR. So I went ahead and wrote down every single item on my TBR in this little container. There are over 1,600 stickies in this container right here. They range from authors to single titles to series. I am fully aware that this is going to take me years to get through. There are 1,600 stickies in there, and I don't read that much in a year, so I know this is going to take a long time to get through, but I figured why not make a video choosing a few stickies to see which books I'm going to read this month. So there are a few things that I want to tell you before I pull my books for this next month. Number one being I am very much a mood reader. So if I pull a sticky out of this container that's a Christmas book or like a spooky book, a fall book, I'm not going to read those in January or February. Those are going to wait until later in the year, and I will put them on my TBR for that month. But like, if it's wintertime, I'll sit down and I'll read a winter book. If it's fall, I want to read a fall book. If it's spring, I want something spring-like. That's just kind of how I like to read. And the second thing being that there is a lot of series in here. Most of the stickies in here are from series. So if I do pull a series sticky, I want to read that series consecutively. I am a person who does read multiple books at a time, so I might be reading from one series and then another series, or just like a single title, something like that. I like to read like 2 to 3 books at a time, sometimes more, depending on what it is that I'm reading. So if I pull 5 stickies out of here, I'm probably gonna read 2 or 3 of them at the same time, depending on what I already have going on. So I'm on the last book of my Christmas books that I had picked out for 2024. I'll be finishing that up sometime this month, probably soon because it's a short book. So I want to have my next books picked out and here for when I'm ready to start them. I also want to say that these are not color coded in any way. I just literally just switched between the colors every time I wrote something down. So the yellow, you can kind of see through the yellow, but I have this folded 4 times, and it's also like stuck together on the last one because I used the sticky part of the sticky note, so I can't see what any of these are when I'm choosing them. And like I said, they are not color-coded at all. So without further ado, let's choose a sticky. A little sticky note ASMR for you. Okay, so here is the first book we will read this month. If I can get it open. So the first book on the TBR for this next month is the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver. Currently, the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver is 2 books, but there is a 3rd book expected to release in March of 2025, which is just a couple months away. So this is probably the perfect one to pick for our first sticky. Book 1 is Wild Love, Book 2 is Wild Eyes, and Book 3 is Wild Side. So I'll read you the blurb on the first book, Wild Love. She's been driving him wild for years, the good kind of wild. The kind of wild that comes with wanting your best friend's little sister and knowing you can't have her. Forbes may have labeled Ford Grant the world's hottest billionaire, but all he cares about is escaping the press and opening a recording studio in gorgeous small town Rose Hill. Something that comes to a screeching halt when he ends up face to face with a young girl who claims he's her biological father. Now he spends his days balancing business with parenting a sullen 12-year-old, all while trying desperately to keep his hands the hell off of his best friend's sister, Rosie Belmont. After living in the city, Rosie came blasting back into town like a storm, beautiful, messy, and chaotic. And one wide-eyed, desperate plea for a job is all it takes for Ford to hire her. He vows to keep her at arm's length, tries to stick to scowls and grumpy one-liners, but with her, verbal sparring is a type of foreplay, friction that soon turns to blistering heat. Ford knows damn well he shouldn't cross this line, but shouldn't and can't are two very different things, and the only thing he truly can't do is resist her. And the next one is the Foolish Kingdom series by Natalia Jaster. The Foolish Kingdom series by Natalia Jaster is a 4-book series. The first book is Trick, the second book is Ruin, the third book is Burn, and the fourth book is Dare. This is a spicy fantasy romance, and I'll read you the warning on the first book. Warning, this is the first book in a scorching hot romantasy series with explicit sexual content and language for readers 18+ who want heavy steam, epic forbidden love, a morally gray book boyfriend, and touch her and he'll unalive you vibes. So I'll read you the blurb on the first book, Trick. Spicy enemies to lover fantasy romance with an HEA, which if you don't know, that's a happily ever after. Stay away from the court jester, especially if you're a good little princess. The court jester marks his targets with a ribbon. That's how I find out I'm next. The moment that band of scarlet fabric appears on my pillow, I know it's a promise, a bad omen delivered by someone wicked. He's powerful, he's sinful. They whisper about him in the castle's shadowed halls. Everyone fears his devilish tongue, yet everyone desires his heated touch. With each seductive temptation, I fall under the jester's spell. With every forbidden moment, he ignites a fire that I've never known before. But the jester is guarding a treasonous secret, and becoming his obsession is dangerous. As a good little princess, I should know, because if I don't risk my ruin, I'll surely sacrifice my heart. Also, make sure you check your trigger warnings, because there is a list on the author's website. The Enmity of Hearts Duet by Sarah Marie Page. The Enmity of Hearts Duet by Sarah Marie Page. This is currently a newer book, so there is only one book in the series so far, but obviously it's a duet, so there's going to be 2 books at some point. It doesn't have any information about the second book at this time. So I'm just going to give you what information they have on the first book. So the first book is a fantasy romance, and it is called Illusion of Stars. And I'll read you the blurb. She's stealing more than secrets. As the royal physician of a tiny windswept island, 18-year-old Isabel spends her days trying to keep the queen from dying and the mad king from streaking naked down the halls. But when her best friend is found murdered on the beaches, her world is ripped apart. Desperate for answers, she discovers a stash of letters that reveal a terrifying truth. The neighboring kingdom of Volgard possesses a kingdom-shattering weapon and is ready to conquer everything in its path. Seeking vengeance, Isabel infiltrates the enemy. Her mission? Woo Eric Lothgarson, the general's steamy, illusion magic-wielding son. Steal the dangerous weapon. She can bring Volgard to its knees, if she isn't caught. But as Isabel dances along the knife edge of deception, the lines between truth and fiction blur, and she must wrestle her quest for vengeance against her undeniable attraction to the enemy. Please note the spice level is a steamy fade to black, meaning there's some foreplay and build-up, but no on-page sex. I want to try and get a couple single titles in here, but if the next one's not a single title, we'll stop. The Darkest Flame series by Shannon Drury. The Darkest Flame series by Shannon Drury is a fantasy romance, with the first book being Knights of Iron and Ink, and the second book being Knights of Steel and Shadow. So I'll read you the blurb on the first book. There are only 2 Fae laws. 1, do not harm a Fae. 2, do not rob a Fae, or the enforcer will come for you. A dream. Vera wants nothing more than to earn a place with the rogues, but with her penchant for turning everything to ash and her monstrous appearance, she fits in better with the flesh-eating beasts plaguing her world than she does the fierce warriors fighting them. When the opportunity to join their ranks finally presents itself, nothing goes as planned. Too late, she realizes she's broken the second Fae law, and she didn't attempt to steal from just any Fae. She attempted to steal from him, the enforcer. A bargain. Vera is lucky enough to find herself more useful to the enforcer alive than dead. A bargain is struck, her life in exchange for what was stolen. Only Vera never planned for the enforcer to join her search. Enigmatic as he is dangerous, he stands for everything she hates, and rouses her desire as much as her anger. Forced to work together to track down the missing weapon, Vera starts to unravel the mystery of the man behind the deadly facade, and discovers he is not at all what she thought. A rebellion. Discontent is brewing in the lands. Mortals are no longer satisfied to serve as fodder for the monsters in the south, and slaves for the Fae in the north. An unforeseen enemy has taken notice, playing off the fears and hatred of the mortals. This saboteur will stop at nothing to keep Vera and the enforcer from uncovering their plot. With more than Vera's life at stake, she will have to make a difficult choice, one that damns her world to darkness if she chooses her heart. Please note, this book contains explicit language, romance, and violence. It is not intended for anyone under 18 years of age. This book is one in a series that ends on a cliffhanger. Oh, great! Lovely! I will pull one more, and then we'll be good for this pull. Order of the Unseen series by Molly Doyle. The Order of the Unseen series by Molly Doyle is a Halloween reverse harem dark romance. It looks like there's 2 books in this series with a couple of novellas that go along with it, and I will probably read the novellas that go with the series as well. So book 0.5 is Scream for Us, book 1 is Bloodshed, book 1.5 is Melt for Us, and book 2 is Bloodbath. There's not much of a blurb, but I'll read you what it says. This is for the first book, Bloodshed. A smutty thriller horror with secret societies and masked men. Quinn, Damien, Jensen, and Micah's point of views throughout. That's all you gotta say, honestly. I'm so down. So I think I want to start off with the Elsie Silver series because I've heard that her books are really good and she does the spice immaculately. So I think I want to start with that series. Actually, all of the series that I just pulled out of the tote, I do not have physically yet. So I'm going to need to order all of them. But I think I am going to start with the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver.